Welcome back, guys. This is now part 4 of the show truck build. Where we left off, we got just about the whole entire axle taken apart. The only thing that we got to do now is get the ball joints out and start cutting these brackets off. Once all these brackets are off, I can then move on to the truck, getting the shocks off, getting some of the other stuff off. This video, I really don't know exactly what this video is going to be. I mean, of course, we're going to get the axle the rest of the way complete and then come over to the truck, get the shocks off, get the bars out of the way, just, kind of get everything cleaned up. I know in the last video I said I was going to probably do that. Just get a clean slate on everything. And then we got to get the rear end jacked up to be level with the front. And then after we do that, then we could probably get the rear axle out. I'm not too sure about that just yet. Yeah, no, the rear I'll save for last. So, but like I said, my main focus right now is the front. It's about time where we can really, it's about to get to where we're going to start getting into the nitty gritty of things, start having to take measurements on everything, getting dummy shocks made, and then start designing a cradle and all that. So we're getting close to where we can start doing some of the major stuff on this truck. So I don't know exactly all what I'm gonna do in this video. Like I said, I guess you could say it's kind of like a miscellaneous type deal because I don't know if it's gonna be anything exciting exactly. But I'm gonna go to trying to get these ball joints out. I say try, but they've been in here a while. I messed with it one night. I messed with the just one of the ball joints in. Let me show you real quick. I went to go get the snap ring out of here and it just kind of fell apart. So I got some penetrating oil, not WD-40, but some PB Blaster. And I'm gonna let all this soak with these bottom ones on both sides. You can just, if you got enough room, they come through the bottom, so you can just take a pretty good, hammer, sledge, I usually do, and just throw these out the bottom. Now these come out the top. So once you get this one out, you're probably gonna have to use a ball joint tool and press that out. So I've been messing around a little bit. I actually just got back from Lowe's not too long ago. Got me one of these digital angle gauge magnetic base. Definitely gonna need this for a lot of things. Like I was already playing with it on the axle, trying to get, see where pinion angle needs to be. Now on front axles, of course, they use a 4-link setup. So usually the way you want to measure pinion angle, I say that because a lot of people, if you got a front axle like this, most of the time the way to get your pinion angle, you mess with the caster. Not a lot of people give you a pinion angle because it's all dealt with the caster. Okay, so I know I said I was gonna do the ball joints, but I'm gonna let the PB Blaster soak in for a minute. I'm gonna just let it soak. Another thing is, if you got grease fittings, show you real quick. See that grease fitting? It protrudes outwards, so you want to take that grease fitting out. If you're doing this, you gotta take that out before you try to get it out. But like I said, I'm gonna let this PB Blaster sit, and then I think honestly, I'm gonna get off of the axle for a minute and go to the truck and get these shocks off and these 2 bars, the track bar and the drag bar. now I'm just gonna take a white paint marker and mark where this pitman arm is. We're most likely gonna replace the steering box anyways, but just for right now, so I can keep a reference, I'm gonna put a mark on the gearbox and the pitman arm. That right there tells me where it kind of straight is, because I had it straight when I pulled in here. So I'm gonna do that and then get this out of the way real quick. And then everything is kind of out. So guys, as you can see, got everything out. Now the next step to do on the truck is get those loops, get those cut out. I gotta cut this homemade bracket off. That was for the track bar. Basically make a whole new bracket that goes under the whole thing to make like a, I guess you say, a cradle under the engine oil pan. It'll have the same purpose as this. It's more for a show look and whatnot. You'll have a whole thing that stretches from frame to frame. And then on top of that, this cradle deal will also house the cool buckets for where the coolovers are gonna mount to. And then of course you'll have something here for the track bar to come to the axle, to the truss. So we're getting closer and closer. It looks so much cleaner now that I got a clean slate and I can kind of start visualizing everything. So I believe I'm gonna head over to the axle now. I believe those ball joints on the bottom have been soaking in PB Blaster for long enough, and the top ones as well. So I'm gonna get over there, try to get these ball joints out. Don't forget to take out the grease fitting. It is a 8mm. There you go. I'm gonna go ahead and go to the other side and get that one out real quick, and then I'll come beat this one out. All right, now let's see. Let me just beat it out real quick. If not, you have to use ball joint press. I hope I can just beat it out. It'll be easier on the bottom one to beat out, and then you'll be able to get this top one a lot easier. So let's see. Jesus, I have to clean this housing out quite a bit. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I'm making any progress. Guess I'm gonna give it a couple more swings and see. Now I know for a fact I got that snap ring all the way out. And I most certainly, this ball joint should come out from the bottom. This is ridiculous, and I'm swinging it pretty hard. So I am correct, it does press down from the bottom, so me hitting this should come out. And of course the top comes up from the top. Okay, yeah. So I am right. I guess it's probably about to be a situation where I'm gonna have to heat up the ear and see what it does there. But I think if I heat it up, I'm not gonna want to hit it, because if it does if it gets hot enough and I start hitting that, could bend the ear. I could be bending the ear now, but that's very, very unlikely. So I'm probably going to soak it in a little more. If I do put heat to it, then I'm gonna use my ball joint press. That way, you know, we're doing things safe and right. But I guess that's what I'm gonna do real quick. Then again, let me try my ball joint press without heating it up real quick. And then if that don't work, then we'll go with heating it up and then ball joint press. So in the process of me getting the ball joint press, you know, set up, ready to go, I had to get a little creative. And I'll show you what I mean, because I just had a feeling. I knew I should have drained this diff oil. So as you can see, I got my ball joint press, you know, set up and ready, but it's so low that I cannot get my impact on it. So I got my engine hoist, shop crane, whatever, went to go lift up this end, and when I lifted it up, by the time I went and grabbed my flashlight off my toolbox to come over here to see if the oil was coming down, the moment I got here and put my flashlight to it, I seen it coming right out the tube. So I made a little bit of a mess, not much. So now I get to smell beautiful gear oil, even though I was somewhat already smelling it, but now I'm going to really smell it. But I guess now I gotta move my shop crane, put this back down, and then crack the diff cover and just drain this oil. That way I ain't gotta worry about diff oil no more. It should have been the first thing I did, but I tried skipping steps, and that's what happened when you try taking shortcuts. So I'm gonna get this set down all the way. It's still kind of up a little bit. It's not fully on that jack stand or axle dolly that I made. So I'm gonna get that all the way down and then move that out the way, drain this diff oil, and then get back to where I am. That way I can hopefully get this dang ball joint out. So let me do that. Made just a little bit more of a mess, not too bad. I just love the smell of gear oil. Can you smell that? If you could smell a picture or a video, it's this. Yummy. So we got, oh my goodness. We definitely got some glitter going on. See that? Make sure that's focusing. So delicious. Go in with some brake clean. All right, so here's a look at the differential, the spider gears, the ring gear, all that. Try to see if I can hold it here as I spin it. Let's look at it together. It was definitely a little glittery. Right here though, well, yeah, right here, it drags. It's very hard. I'm most likely gonna say that maybe, see now it's freed up. I almost want to say that a roller bearing needs to be replaced. But I'm probably gonna put the cover back on with a couple bolts, just keep that covered up, make sure nothing gets in there. And then I can move on to what I originally planned on doing, ball joints. So let me cover this back up, get, some of this stuff somewhat cleaned up and situated, and then I'll be able to hopefully do that now. So, all right, so I got that side plugged up with some shop towels, just any oil that was in that tube. If I got it lifted up, it'll just suck into that towel. Got this end lifted up now. Should be high enough to where I get my impact on it. I didn't show y'all where they drilled down into here. I didn't show y'all. It's kind of right here. It is out of the way and whatnot, but after I got everything situated, I kind of looked at it myself without, didn't record it. So, customer wants me to weld it close. I said yes, but after thinking about it, if this is cast iron, this is, casting. You don't want to weld on cast. As you can see, they did here, and as you can tell, it does not look good. You do not want to weld on cast. You can, you have to do it a very specific way. Like, you got to heat treat it almost. You've got to heat the metal and then weld it and then let it cool off slowly altogether. Something like that. But if you just weld it to the cast and don't heat treat it or don't do any prepping on the cast, like this right here, like this is dog crap. As you can tell, they tried welding to it and it just looks like absolute dog crap. If you were to get a good bead, get good penetration, this weld would almost likely crack. So I'm surprised this held up as long as it did, to be honest. But now I'm gonna set y'all up so we can see if this comes off or not. Whoops. My gun don't have a snap ring. It kind of broke, so it don't hold anything. But anyways, I'm gonna throw some WD-40 on these threads just to kind of make sure it don't mess them up. Just do a little dab, nothing too special. Well, I'm gonna hit the side of it just to see if that, loosens anything with inside with this pressure on it. There's a lot of pressure on it, so I'm gonna hit this side and see if that does anything. I lowered it back down so it's not all the way up and it don't slide off anywhere. So I guess I'm gonna give it a couple taps and see. This axle is giving me nothing but issues. I don't know how long these ball joints have been in here, but obviously they've been in here for a while. Well, that didn't work. So I'm going to say my next thing to do is I'm probably just going to heat up the ear and then see what happens. I don't know if I want to heat it up with the pressure still on it. I think I might do that. It's just that cup is going to be very hot when I get ready to get it off or whatever. So probably going to leave the pressure on it and then just heat it up and see what it does. So hopefully it comes off. All right, so I finally got some separation on the ball joint. Heated it up, kept that pressure on it, took that PB blaster, cooled it down really quick, used the same method I did with the brake caliper bolt, and kind of got it freed up now. I'm taking some swings at it with the hammer, separated a little more, so guess I'm gonna set y'all up, beat this the rest of the way out, and then I really hope the other side ain't like that. There it is. Still a little warm from when I heated it up, so. Man, it was in there. It was in there. But hey, I guess it ain't nothing he can't do. Heat that baby up, send her on the way. So, let me get over to this other side and see what I can do there. So I got this other side bottom ball joint ready to either start hitting or get the ball joint. I'm gonna hit it a couple times, see if it's a little more loose than, of course, the other side. Probably once I get this one out, I'm gonna call it a night and then come back tomorrow and get these top two out. This thing is just giving me, it's exhausting me, making me very exhausted already. And like I said, I really ain't done much in this video besides take apart, you know, the rest of the front of the truck, which was just shocks, drag bar, and track bar. Man, these ball joints. Everything on this axle has been on here for quite a while. It's maintenance has not been done like it's needed to, so. But once I get this other bottom one out, I'm gonna call it a night. And then of course, y'all see me in a split second, but I'll see y'all tomorrow. And then get the top two out, and then I'm gonna start cutting brackets off. So I'm gonna start wasting time and get this other bottom one out.
Twelve seconds later. Eventually. Tomorrow for sure.
So here we are, it's the next day. As you see, I'm already dirty. Well, I was just gonna take these ball joints out without recording, because I kind of just wanted to do it and listen to music and just kind of get in my own little space. I got one side out. I got the driver's side out. I'm gonna show you all that. So here it is. I got this one out. Fairly simple. Honestly, I didn't have to spray anything. Maybe that PB blaster soaked in, maybe, I don't know. But driver's side is out. I'm over here to the passenger side now. The only reason I'm recording this is because I had to get a little creative. So I only have the ball joint, you know, the regular ball joint press from Harbor Freight, the Maddox one, which is like $50. Well, you know, it comes with the basic, you know, kit that you need to do a majority of the work that you have. Well, on something like this, so this is what I had to use at first, you know. You got the one with the hole, that can go up, and then you got to use that end right there down here. So the screw part needs to be up top, and as you can see, this right here will basically press into here, but it's not big enough to where it won't go through. So that kind of presses down, and this is also the only cup that fits around here. The other one, let's see, that other one is too small, and then that one is just way too big. It's just way too big. It'll like fit around this whole thing and it won't act right. So the first thing you have to do if you're removing this top ball joint on, I believe, an 03 to let's see, 2009. Yeah, I think. Up at just all the third gen majority, like a third gen Cummins. Because this came from a third gen Dodge. This is a Dodge axle right here. So it's the same one that's on my black truck that's outside. But anyways, if you're doing this on a Dodge axle, you put that up there and then you press it as far as it can go. It'll hit around this ring right here. It'll start the ball joint. It'll start it up. Well, the only thing with this basic kit is it doesn't have anything small enough that will end up going in here to push that ball press the rest of the way. So I had to get creative, and I'll show y'all what I mean by that with this right here. So I'm gonna set y'all up and kind of show y'all what I had to do. I hope this one comes out as easy as it did on the other side. I don't know if you can see me or not, but you can see right here. All right, so you take this one, set it down like that, fish it up as much as you can. There we go. Whoa, hold up. Scratch that. Before that, I gotta get this boot off. So let me get that off real quick. All right, the boot is off. Now we can do what I was doing. So as you can see, it raised it up just enough, you know, to break it loose. This can stay. What I came up with was this right here, which was This right here, 3 thick washers that was used on this build, or a straight axle swap from whoever did it. So I took these 3 washers and this castle nut that just so happened to fit up until the taper portion, and then I put those 3 washers there, and I basically line everything up. And as you can see, it just barely fits. So then I'll just tighten it down. Make sure the washers are kind of centered around the ring of this. And then send it. There we are. And as you can see, these washers, they're so thick, like it didn't bend it or nothing. Get that off, get that off. And there's the ball joint, and then just, I hit the hammer, I took my sledge and hit this and it came off. But I mean, if you want to leave it on there, if you're doing something like this, it don't matter because this is junk anyways. So I guess that's how you change ball joints on a 3rd gen front axle. Well, with that said, now the axle is completely free of every part besides the ones I've got to cut off now. Now I'm probably about to go in with the grinder and cut these brackets off. Now, the reason I had to do the method that I just used on those top ball joints, when I go to reinstall them, it might be easier, you know, because they got to come in through the top instead of pushing up from the bottom. That might be easier, but the only reason I had to do that, I was going to go to Harbor Freight and get the like extension kit. Like there's like more cups and stuff at Harbor Freight. It's like a accessory pack that you can buy separate from the main ball joint press. I was gonna go get that, but my local Harbor Freight closes at 7, and right when I was thinking about doing it, it was like 7:05, so they had just closed. Your local Harbor Freight might not have them hours. They were 8 to 8, but they ended up doing 7 to 7. Mine did. So I gotta wait till tomorrow to go get that kit. And that kit is actually, I think, $20 more than the actual ball joint press kit, which is crazy. I think it's $69.99, while the ball joint service kit that comes with the ball joint press is $49.99. Crazy. But anyways, I guess I'm gonna clean up a little bit, get everything put back up, and then get that grinder out and get to grinding, baby. Might even pull out that plasma cutter on some of it. So do that. Okay, real quick, just wanted to show. See, I got my angle finder on the pinion. Got some white marks. I don't know if you can see that, but I got a laser shot through the center of this axle. Basically, I'm going to use the leaf spring setup as a reference, and this is probably where the axle is going to sit. Why do I say that? Because this is a Dodge axle. This is a 9.5 AAM axle. These axles need to maintain a 5 to 7 degree positive pinion angle. If you go anything more than that or extreme, you have to cut these ears off. But you got to cut these ears off, rotate the axle upwards to where, you know, it needs to be, and then re-weld this back in. I'm going to be completely honest. I do not want to do that, nor do I know how to go about that without messing anything up. With this being on a customer's truck, I'm not gonna do that. So I'm going to basically keep this at the angle that it was with the leaf springs, which will be A-okay. The only issue with that is if he wants to use 4-wheel drive, he can't with this setup. He can, but you'd have to get a drop box for the transfer case. You'd have to make a custom drop box and all that. So to keep this, somewhat simple, inexpensive, and without having to do just way too much work, this is the best possible way. Right now, the pinion angle is set at 5 degrees. That is within spec, of what this should be. And like I said, it helps that this was already straight axle swap. So I got a laser pointed through the center of that hole to the center of this hole. That basically tells me where this axle is going to sit, in the truck. I got some paint marker lined up because once I cut these brackets off, I'm going to have to keep up with the center. Now, the good thing about this, this is part of the axle. This is not. So when I cut that off, this stays. So I'll still have a reference point to line up to this hole, but this one will most likely, of course, have to go. But I just want to show you all that real quick. This is how the axle is going to sit. It's going to have that 5-degree pinion angle, and then whenever get the truss on and all that, we got to make sure the truss is dead center with, the line and whatnot. I got a plumb bob sitting on my toolbox that I'll have to use when I get all that situated. But right now, I guess I'm going to go to getting these brackets cut off. All right, guys, so as you saw right there, brackets are cut off. Everything is off this axle that needs to be off now. We still got one more thing to do, and honestly, I'm not gonna do it on camera just because it will bore y'all to death, and it's gonna bore me to death. And while I'm doing it, I am most certainly gonna want music. I guess I'm gonna turn y'all around and show y'all what we got. So as you see here, plasma cutter just came in clutch. Yeah, just a very neat and handy tool to have. Luckily, of course, I got the hand torch and I got my plasma cutter, the machine torch, all that. But anyways, As you see, if you're doing something like this, you might already know exactly what you may need to do. If not, and you're just kind of somewhat an amateur. I'm an amateur too. This is my first time doing this. But, well, let me say first time doing a 4-link, custom 4-link, all that. What I mean by first time, well, with me already being a fabricator as well, I kind of already know, especially on something this important like an axle. If you're doing a plasma cutter and you're cutting a bracket off, always go above the weld. That way you're just, you're cutting the bracket off. It sucks, but you kind of have to. You can come back in and gouge the weld out, and I might do that. But just, to be on the safe side, you don't want to go into the housing at all. As you can see, I used the angle grinder over here. It was just a lot easier. Went in just a tad deep right here, but nothing I can't weld over and grind down flat. There is a couple low spots on here from when whoever did the axle swap on here. This is a Dodge axle, and I know for a fact, because of course I got one, on these Dodge axles, there is a big bracket that houses a cool spring. So they had to cut that off, and I can tell there's a couple low spots in here. So I'll just go through and probably, weld in that and then grind it flat. Now, what I mean by what's gonna bore y'all and bore me, and I'm gonna want some music, is I'm gonna have to take a flat disc and just grind all this down. Have to grind it all down. Luckily, I mean, it's not exactly an insane amount. Probably, like I said, I might come back in with the plasma and gouge as flat as I can get. But it's not entirely a lot, but it's quite a bit. So you see I got this off. So, I mean, it's basically done. Well, I'm probably gonna go ahead and call it this video, because while it may seem like at the very beginning it didn't seem like I was getting much done, but now we made some pretty good progress after getting those brackets cut off and everything just off of here. So, like I said, I'm going to grind everything flat off camera. That means the next time we see each other, it's probably going to be me getting the hoops off of the truck and finding center on the truck on the frame, getting the rear lifted up to be level with the front, and then we can start making templates. I got a bunch of cardboard behind that sheet of plywood. I got cardboard that I'm going to make templates out of, get a rough shape of what the truss is going to be and whatnot. So we got a bunch about to come up. Like I said already, we're getting close to where we're getting into the nitty gritty of stuff. So, like I said, I'm gonna end the video here. If you enjoy this stuff, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment, share, and most importantly, subscribe. If you want to be notified when I upload, go ahead and hit that little bell. And I hope you're enjoying this stuff, because I am personally, and it's starting to get fun. So without further ado, guys, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.